What's up, YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of October 2017. Did quite a bit of travel once again this month, and the highlight was getting to go yet again to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in Portland, which was last weekend, and had a blast. The majority of these pickups probably came from the Portland Expo. However, I did get some other stuff around town when I was up there. Got to visit Oregon and Washington area for about a week and really kind of explore a little bit more this year. Had a good time. Also did some more local travel around Kansas City area as well as my native St. Louis, and picked up some stuff from there as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I want to kick off with some Sega systems to start off tonight. And the first game I got is Wanted for the Sega Master System. This is one of the Sega Light Phaser compatible games, and it is complete. It's also the late release variation of it that has the Sega for the 90s sticker on the back of the box, as well as the manual and cartridge. These are kind of interesting. They seem to come out like right at the very tail end of the Master System life, and I think it was to cover up some of the Tonka stickers once Sega took over some of the production. It's kind of weird. But nice addition to my Master System library. It actually has a decent cover, I think, compared to most of the Master System games. Really, one of the big things I was looking for at the Portland Expo was Sega CD games. Just trying to add some new stuff to my collection. One thing I wasn't expecting to find was a Mega CD release, and this is a exclusive for the Japanese Mega CD. This is Ninja Warriors by Taito, and this is probably the best home version of the arcade game. Don't get confused with Ninja Warriors on Super Nintendo, because that is actually Ninja Warriors Again in Japan. It's a side sequel to the arcade game, but it actually isn't based on the arcade game like this one is. Really looking forward to trying this. It apparently has some really good music from Zuntata, Taito's in-house band, and rather than game photos on the back, it actually has a concert footage picture of Zuntata, so I thought that was kind of cool. Really nice artwork on this as well. And total surprise to find this at the show. Unfortunately, region locking is definitely a thing with Sega CD, but I do think that with an EverDrive, which I normally wouldn't be interested in, I can play Japanese games. So that will probably be next up on my purchase list, is to get that so I can actually play this game. But I'm really looking forward to it. I've played this game in the arcade with the double screens, and it's just really awesome. So looking forward to seeing how this home version is. It also came out for the PC Engine, but this one's considered a little bit better considering it came out like 4 or 5 years later. So definitely one of the cooler Japanese exclusives for the Mega CD that we didn't get over here. So then I got two domestic Sega CD games. Both of these were ones I wanted, and the first one of these is Soul Star. This one really pushes the Sega CD to its limits graphically if you want to see some of the coolest stuff it can do. It's a very much a sprite-based, into-the-screen 3D shooter, and really a lot of fun. I actually played this a little bit the other night and enjoyed it quite a bit. Developed by Core, who also developed some really top-notch graphics games for the Genesis as well. So they must have really just had a good handle on the hardware, but definitely one I'm very happy to add to my library. I also got Lords of Thunder at the show, and this one was a shooter that I needed for the Sega CD, although I already had it for the TurboGrafx Turbo Duo system. So looking forward to seeing how this one compares. I don't think it's supposed to be quite as good as the Duo version, but always nice to get another shooter for the Sega CD. What's interesting is the artwork on this I've never really considered to be very good. The Turbo Duo version has much better artwork. It's probably directly from the Japanese release, if I was to guess. But I guess the American artist that put this together was one of the exhibitors at the show, so you could have actually gotten a poster of this cover art if you wanted to take away his memorabilia. He did have a lot of his other games that he released over the years. I can't remember the guy's name, but several of them were actually pretty good. I'm not going to totally diss the guy. The Strider box for NES is actually pretty cool that he did, but this is not one of his fighter works, so kind of interesting to get that the same weekend that he was exhibiting there. I did get two complete in-box Game Gear games, and it's kind of strange because I've been getting a lot of these over the last couple months. I swear I'm not going for a complete in-box Game Gear set, but there is some really cool artwork on some of my favorite releases, so I've been deciding to get a few more of these. I got this one from Bad Graphics Gamers at the show, and this is Woody Pop. Amazingly, they did not make me like eat mud or anything like that to get a discount on this. They just sold it to me without really even talking to me too much. But nice guys, they had a really nice selection at the show, and definitely nice to see them in person. This is a really cool Arkanoid clone, and a lot of fun. You know, I would definitely recommend this for the Sega Game Gear. Plus, I like the artwork on it too, so definitely a interesting title on that one, but pretty cool game. The Game Gear Complete game I got also this month. This came off eBay, and it was one that I was way more excited to get. This one has some really cool box art. Is the second Shinobi game, Shinobi 2: The Silent Fury. Really neat artwork, like I said, and what I like about the two Game Gear Shinobi games is they're actually separate releases directly for that system. They're not ports of anything else. They were specifically designed for the Game Gear, and they really show. This one has Yuzo Koshiro music, and really a top-notch AAA title for the system, if you were to ask me. I really like playing the Sega Game Gear stuff. I wish I had a way to play it on TV, but it's still good with an enhanced handheld that's had the screen kind of jazzed up a little bit. So very happy to add that to the collection. Then I'll move into some PS1 stuff, and actually just all my Sony system games for the month. First one of these is one that I used to own, for some reason sold it, and I'm just now getting it back, and that is Intelligent Cube. This one has a really strong reputation. I didn't really get into it too much the first time I had it, but definitely looking forward to checking it out again. I'm a big puzzle game fan, so I'm not really sure why I didn't click the first time, but like I said, I'm definitely open-minded and looking forward to playing this again, probably about 10 years later after I got rid of it the first time. The next one I got is Nightmare Creatures. This is a game that I owned whenever I first bought my PlayStation, and again, sold it for some reason, but just kind of wanting to check this one out of nostalgia. I'm not really expecting too much, but, you know, it was playable, at least at the time. I got another one of the F1 racing games. There's like 6 or 7 of these, and they're all pretty obscure. This is F1 World Grand Prix 1999 edition, and what's weird about that is if you look at the spine, it says F1 World Grand Prix, and there is another separate release that also says F1 World Grand Prix that's rarer, that is not the 1999 edition. So if you see that one, I think it's technically from like 01 or 2000. That's the one to get, and I have that one also, but these are interesting. They were Japanese developed, and some love went into these, even though really Americans don't care too much about F1 racing. Alright, now the highlight of PS1 collecting for the month, and really one of the coolest things I got all month. I was trying to put together like a mental wish list of games I wanted to find at the Portland Con, and I literally found this within like 5 minutes of walking through the door, and I was totally amazed. This is Starblade Alpha for the PS1. This is one of my all-time wants for the system. This was a big box exclusive game. It never got a jewel case variant. It is one of the very first Namco games released on the system, and for some reason it's by far the rarest one. Very, very hard game to find complete. There's about 6 or 7 of these on eBay, and all of them are missing the manual, or they're just really in trashed condition. This one was actually in pretty nice shape. I re-glued the cover on it. It has one of those weird stick-on covers, but other than that, it's really nice. The manual's all there, everything like that. Really cool space shooter. This was an arcade game. It also came out on the Sega CD, but this is the enhanced version for the PS1. And really enjoyed playing it on the Sega CD, so I'm looking forward to playing the PS1 version now, too. Again, I was not expecting to find this at the show. I was like, it was kind of just a pipe dream game maybe to find. And then just to walk in and it was right there was just absolutely amazing. So, very big thing to kick off my PS1 collecting wish list this month right here. So, very happy to get that. I did get one PS2 game this month. I got the original Gungrave, and I've played this game quite a bit over the years. I actually have the Japanese version of this, and I just decided to go ahead and get the US version. This is a weird game in that the US cover art is really cool, and the Japanese cover art is very cool, and they look nothing alike. So I recommend getting both of them, honestly. Really fun, just mindless, shoot everything type of game, and the sequel to this, Gungrave Overdose, I think is what it's called, is also well worth getting too. So kind of one of those early Golden Age Sega and Red compilation or collaboration games, and really a lot of fun to play. So happy to get that one. I got 2 new releases for the PS4. First one of these is Raiden 5, Raiden 5, the Director's Cut Limited Edition, as if there's actually going to be a standard edition of this. Very bare bones. It just comes with the soundtrack CD. You don't even get a manual or anything like that. Played this through the other night, and it's kind of obnoxious. It's honestly like the Michael Bay of shooters, if you were to ask me. Just a very, very overbearing orchestral soundtrack playing throughout the whole game that's way too loud. Just non-stop talking and dialogue that happens even in between the scenes, and also during the scenes. That's text above the top of the screen, text on the side of the screen, and oral talking all going on at the same time as you're just trying to blast away at a bunch of stuff. So really didn't see the need to do all that. It's a decent game engine. I mean, I played it a little bit. It has some nice, like, what do they call it? Charm or something like that is one of the power-ups. But just way too much. Like, this is so far away from the original Raiden arcade game that it's not even funny. But whatever. I'm happy to get a new shooter in the US. It's really funny, when this first came out on the Xbox One in Japan about a year and a half ago, I almost bought an Xbox One just for this game, and I'm so glad I didn't now that I've waited and played it a little bit more now. So happy to get it, but not essential by any means. The other shooter I got for the PS4 is Caladrius Plays, and this was released by Limited Run. This was a game that came out actually on the Japanese PS3 and the Japanese PS4 long before we got it, and I'm kind of glad I waited just to get this nice US package of it. Some love did go into this one. It actually comes with 2 fat manuals. One of them's like an art book, and one of them's just a nice color manual. So really nice job overall on the porting work. This game is also developed by Moss, just like Raiden 5, and actually you can tell they probably have the same game engine, but this one's toned down a little bit from that one, and the music's a lot better. So actually this one clicked with me a lot better, even though it's actually an older game. Definitely can recommend this one if you can get your hands on it. I know they're sold out now, but I think you can still get the Japanese version of it pretty cheap, and honestly there's not a whole lot of text in it anyway, so a lot of fun. Then I'll show you a game that I was walking through a game store in Oregon and had no idea this even existed. I thought I knew the GameCube library pretty well. I thought I pretty much had everything I wanted. And then I walk up and I see Rally Championship. I have never ever seen this released before. There's several Rally games on the GameCube that I was aware of. This one I've never ever seen. I imagine it's pretty darn rare, and glad to have it. I don't really know anything about it. Doesn't really look so hot from the back screenshots, but just happy to have it just because, again, surprise GameCube release I didn't know existed. The other thing I was looking for at the Portland Con was Neo Geo Pocket Color games, and I was really just hoping maybe to bring home one that I didn't have. I kind of hit the jackpot on these, and I got 3 that I was really looking for. And the first one of these I got on the very first night. As soon as I got there, it was before the con even truly opened. It was just the arcade night. But there was a vendor there selling a few games that he had from his private collection, and he had Dive Alert Mats Edition. This is a weird, like, submarine strategy RPG for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. And it's not enough that it's just Matt's edition, there's also a Becky's edition. So if you want both of them, you have to buy both Matt and Becky's version of the game. Unfortunately, I don't have the other one yet, but at least nice to get one of these 2 games out of the way. I don't really know how much they differ, other than maybe one was more oriented for boys and one was more oriented for girls. Either way, I don't think either one of them caught on very well, because you don't see these too often. So just nice to get a nice, CIB game that I didn't have for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. One that I was actively looking for, and I considered this like a huge gap in my collection that I didn't have this until now, is the Match of the Millennium, the SNK versus Capcom Fighter that was exclusive to that system. This game is considered just completely awesome. It's got a lot of mini games and just side quests and things like that to really add depth to the game, plus just a really good fighting engine that they'd kind of enhanced after releasing a few fighting games to the system. So definitely looking forward to tearing into this. I'll probably play this one quite a bit. And then finally, I got one more Neo Geo Pocket Color game. This one's another big one off my list. This is Metal Slug 2nd Edition. I've actually owned this game cart only for several years, but upgrading this to a complete was definitely something I wanted to do. Really nice artwork on the cover, and just another fun Metal Slug game. I really don't think you can go wrong with that series very often. I mean, there's only a couple duds, so definitely a good welcome addition to the Neo Geo Pocket Color library. Then I got one game from eBay before I even left for the show, and this was one of the rarest games on the US Game Boy system, and that is Cool Ball. It's kind of an awkward little puzzle action game. Excuse me. This game is incredibly rare in the US, and for some reason a ton of these have landed in Germany. So this actually came from Germany, even though in the little margin there you can see it's the US version of the cartridge. I don't know if Takara just sold out like all their inventory to Germany back in the day and they all ended up there or what, but for some reason you can't find this game anywhere in the US. But if you go on German eBay, you'll see a whole bunch of these for sale. So took a chance and worked out very well. Then we got a game that GameSack actually just profiled in their latest video, Carnage Rally, with that wonderful box art. Excuse me. I'm just going to let you revel in that for a moment. I know they did the same. I mean, this is really just spellbinding. The only thing I could say in its defense is Jellico wasn't really the original Jellico by this point. They'd sold out to some third party that just bought the naming rights for the brand. So if you have like fond memories of Jellico, don't blame them on this game. But overall, it actually is a really fun game release. It just has hideous box art. So happy to get that one complete just for the shelf, if nothing else. And looking forward to playing this a little more. So that does it for games I bought this month. Everything else I got is some manual and other accessory type upgrades. Got a couple Genesis manuals. I got the original Shining Force, which I've needed this one for a long time. So that one is now complete. And same thing with Phelios, or Phelios, however you say this. One of my favorite shooters on the system. I actually made a video of this a few months back. And again, very happy to now have this game complete. Loose Genesis manuals are like gold. They're really one of the hardest things to find, it seems like. So just finding any of those to get off my list is awesome. I got a Game Boy manual for the original Dig Dug. This is a very hard to find game for the Game Boy, so nice to get a manual for that. I got a manual for the Punisher on NES. Has pretty cool artwork, even though the game's not really that great. One for my Taito collection. I got a manual for Kicks. Still need a box for that one. Manual for Nightshade, manual for Lunar Pool, and then I got both the manual and the box for Rad Gravity. Definitely very colorful, cool looking box art and everything, but this game is pretty terrible. I've owned the cartridge for years, of course, just never had the box and manual, but the box promises a rad comic book inside, and really it's just part of the manual, and it is not rad. I'm sorry to disappoint. So neither is this game, but again, cool looking box art, just game sucks. One game I got just the box for is one of my favorites on the Super Nintendo, and that is Spanky's Quest. It's an early, very early Natsume release for the system. Really fun and exciting, like action puzzle game. Highly recommend this game. Also came out on the original Game Boy, but that version's even harder to find. And this game's starting to go up in price a little bit now. In my mind, it's well overdue. It's been very hard to find for years, and I highly recommend it, like I said, for the Super Nintendo. I got a system manual for the Sega CD 2. I think I needed this. Like, it was only $1, so I decided to grab it. And then finally, I got the first issue of Oldschool Gamer magazine. They were giving these out at the show. Looks like it has some promise, and they're actually looking for people to contribute to future issues. So might want to check them out. They got a cool website, nice guys. I talked to them at the show. Looking forward to seeing more of this, and I like the cover art on the first issue. So that about does it. My voice seems to be giving out. I don't really know why, and I hope you enjoyed these pickups. I didn't get to meet you at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, unfortunately, if you were there, but say hi next year. I'll probably be coming back, and I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.